Yes. Honorable Leader, you have a list of questions and urgent questions. What do you propose to do with them? Questions and urgent questions as listed in item number 6. Item 6, urgent questions.
The Speaker, no. We'll step down all the questions and then commence public business.
Very well. That then should bring us to the end of the private business. That should bring us to the end of private business. Yes. Questions and statements. Now go to public business. Are there any papers to be presented?
Anyway.
Chairman of the Committee on Finance, are you ready with the reports that are listed against your name?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we are.
Very well. So, item number 9. By the Chairman of the Committee. I.
Report of the Finance Committee on the request for waiver of import duty, import VAT, import NHIO, import Get Fund levy, EXIM levy, COVID-19 recovery levy, special import levy, and domestic VAT, amounting to the Ghana cedi equivalent of 34,975,913 euros on materials, equipment, and machinery required for the establishment of 12 state-of-the-art technical and vocational education training centers, Phase 2.
The report is duly presented. Is for distribution to members. Item II.
Report of the Finance Committee on the request for waiver of import duty, import VAT, import NHIO, import Get Fund levy, EXIM levy, COVID-19 recovery levy, special import levy, and domestic VAT, amounting to the Ghana cedi equivalent of 7,339,621 euros and 56 cents, made up of 6,868,562 euros on imports and 462.59.56 euros on local purchases on materials and equipment required for the Wenchi Water Supply Project by Messrs. ASPAC International, SPRL Company Limited, Belgium.
The report is duly laid for distribution to members. Item III.
Report of the Finance Committee on the Credit Facility Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance, and HSBC Bank PLC as mandated lead arranger, facility agent, and original lender for an amount of 120,137,300 euros, including export credit guarantee support from Compañía Española de Seguros a las Exportación CIA de Seguros y Reaseguros, to partly finance the contract value for the design and construction of the Pediase Manfe Koforidua Scenic Road project.
The report is duly presented. Is for distribution to members. Item IV.
Report of the Finance Committee on the Third Commercial Facility Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance, and HSBC Bank PLC as mandator lead arranger and agent and other financial institutions as original lenders for an amount of 45 million euros to finance the design and construction of the Pediase Manfe Koforidua Scenic Road project.
The report is duly presented for distribution to members. Item V.
Report of the Finance Committee on the amended and restated SERB covered and down payment export credit facility agreement amongst the government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance as borrower, and ING Bank, a branch of ING Diva AG, as original lender, arranger, ECA agent, coordinator, and social loan coordinator, BNP Paribas Fortis, SA/NV, as original lender, arranger, and social loan coordinator, and ING Bank NV as agent for an amount of 176,536,952 euros, including Swiss Export Risk Insurance Agency insurance premium for the construction of 9 state-of-the-art technical and vocational training institutes in Ghana, Phase 1.
The report is duly presented for distribution to members. Item 10, presentation and first reading of bills. Here is Honorable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister responsible for Employment and Labour Relations has indicated that he's not ready with the bill and that he may want to take it tomorrow or the day after. Mr. Speaker, I rise to draw attention to a matter that has arisen. In that regard, Mr. Speaker, I come under Order 51, which provides at the time appointed for the purpose under Order 53, Order of Business, any member may, with the prior approval of Mr. Speaker, move a motion on a specific matter of urgent public importance. Mr. Speaker, you may recollect that when we came to correcting the votes and proceedings, I drew attention to item numbered 8 on pages 9 and 10 of today's votes and proceedings, and drew attention to the fact that the budget statement, arguably the most important document that the government produces in a year, was presented to this House by the Minister responsible for Finance on behalf of the President on Wednesday, the 17th of December, by a motion. Mr. Speaker, the votes and proceedings provide, indeed they have captured, that at the time of the approval or disapproval of the budget, the number in this chamber, as recorded in the votes and proceedings, was exactly 137 members. Mr. Speaker, our orders provide under Order 109.1, and I quote, "No question for decision in the House shall be proposed for determination unless there are present in the House not less than 1/2 of all the members of the House. And except otherwise provided in the Constitution, the question proposed shall be determined by the majority of votes of the members present and voting." Mr. Speaker, this provision is fortified by Article 104 of the Constitution, which provides, so Speaker, with indulgence, I want to read that except 104.1, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Mr. Speaker, evidently, the number 137 that was relied on by this House to reject the budget did not meet the asset test established by the Constitution under Article 104.1. You recollect that the Speaker, before proposing the question, clothed himself with Article 102, which relates to the correct number for the transaction of ordinary business, apart from decision-making. The Speaker, that in itself was most irregular. And I believe the day after the event is the most appropriate time to deal with this matter. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, I come under Order 51 to move that you, the Honorable Speaker, properly propose for determination the question on the motion moved by the Minister of Finance on behalf of His Excellency the President on Wednesday, November 17, 2021, in respect of the budget statement and economic policy of government for the year ending 31st December 2022. Mr. Speaker, it is clear, as I've already said, that the number that was invoked, the article that was invoked, was insufficient to cover the determination of the question that was proposed for the support or rejection of the budget. And so, Mr. Speaker, I invite you to uphold the motion and indeed, by inference, set aside the impropriety, because, as I've argued, what happened that day is a nullity because it does not meet the test established under Article 104(1). So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Deputy Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I humbly rise to second the motion ably moved by the Majority Leader and the Leader of the House. Mr. Speaker, in seconding the motion, I beg to raise the following issues to further fortify the prayer of the applicant. Mr. Speaker, first, whether or not you have the capacity to determine this matter. The Speaker, on that score, the Speaker, I shall rely on Order 13.2 of the rules of this House to say that you are so well fortified to consider this matter. Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, I shall read Order 13.2, which provides, whenever the House is informed by the clerk at table of the unavoidable absence of Mr. Speaker, the first Deputy Speaker shall perform the duties and exercise the authority of Mr. Speaker in relation to all proceedings of the House until Mr. Speaker resumes the chair without any further communication to the House. Mr. Speaker, rightly so, the clerk at table has informed us that Mr. Speaker is unavoidably absent, and that by that imperative, you are well fortified to assume the full duties, mandate, power, responsibilities as though you are the Speaker of the House. So, Mr. Speaker, you are fortified to consider this application. Mr. Speaker, second, it is trite that the constitutional provision relied on by the applicant clearly gives us the number required to be present in this chamber for the purposes of taking decision in Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, 1/2 of Parliament will be 138. For the avoidance of doubt, the record in our votes clearly states that Mr. Speaker in the chair had indicated that there were a number 137 saying yes, meaning, Mr. Speaker, that at that moment in time, we did not have 138 present. Which, Mr. Speaker, Article 104(1) is also very clear that when that minimum number is present, the decision must be based on the majority of those present to take a decision. And Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, I shall read that aloud. Except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the vote of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. So, Mr. Speaker, the net effect is that, one, the threshold of 138 must be met, and that in that 138, majority of them would now be required to take a decision. Mr. Speaker, having made these contentions, I beg to say that, Mr. Speaker, this constitutional imperative clearly vitiates that which took place. And now, Mr. Speaker, on all fours, the applicant's motion is well rooted, and Mr. Speaker, the invitation made to you on all fours is right, and I therefore, Mr. Speaker, without any hesitation, implore you, Mr. Speaker, to give favorable consideration to this application. Mr. Speaker, I so submit, and I thank you.
Very regrettable that there's nobody on the minority bench. Indeed, we've been engaging as leadership of the House, expanded leadership, from 9 a.m. We closed at 2:30 to give ourselves 1 hour to have lunch and resume at 3:30. I have no information why nobody on the other side is here, but we clearly agreed that Parliament will sit at 3:30. It was a meeting at which the leadership on the minority was present, and we had discussions from morning up to this time. So it's a pity there's nobody here, so I could hear their views on the motion before me. But as has been pointed out under Order 1091, let me read for emphasis. No question for a decision in the House shall be proposed for determination unless they are present in the House not less than 1/2 of all members of the House. And except otherwise provided in the Constitution, the question proposed shall be determined by a majority of votes, members present and voting. So before I take any decision, I want to confirm that I have a majority of members of Parliament in the chamber. May the clerks at table assist me by how we're going to do it, call out names or members. We go around and count the members. Honourable members, our clerks at tables are saying it's not all ministers who are non-MPs they know. So, in order to avoid a situation where a non-member of parliament may be counted, may I please request the non-MP ministers to move to the gallery. Well, not about to the gallery, so that we are not confused with the exception of the finance minister where he's sitting, you can't miss him. So may you please move to the gallery. Honourable members, the clerks at table are complaining that movement is making it difficult for them to confirm the numbers. May I ask members to please remain in their seat so it's easy for them to confirm the numbers, please. Honourable members, the number presented to me by the clerks at table is 137 of you plus me, MP for Bekwai, 138. Honourable members, for the avoidance of doubt, let me read out the constitutional requirements so that there's no confusion as to who can vote, what numbers are required to take a decision. Article 104(1). Except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting. The vote of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. What it means is that before you take a decision, there must be at least a majority of all members present. With me, we have 138 members. That's a majority. It doesn't mean that all the 138 must vote yes or no. A majority of this 138, their decision will carry the day. So I'll go ahead and put the question on the motion proposed before us. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Order. All against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Honourable members, the motion having been carried, it is our practice that after the leaders have concluded their debate, the finance minister is called to wind up. That did not happen the last Friday. Rather, he made an application to be allowed some time to make some statement. That application was denied, but it did not take away his right to make concluding remarks if he so wish. So, Honourable Finance Minister, if yes. Very well. Yes, Honourable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I believe the result of this motion that we have declared clearly establishes the fact that the purported rejection of the budget, the motion on the budget on Friday, has been ousted. Indeed, it's a nullity, and so the important thing to be done now is to reinstate the motion as existed. I think, Mr. Speaker, it comes automatically, but for the avoidance of doubt, because this is a new day, it's important to make a bold pronouncement on it so that we can proceed further.
Very well. I thought, like you said, I thought it was automatic, but for the record, let me formalize my ruling on your application after the vote. The application before me is to declare that the purported question on the budget statement presented by the Finance Minister did not follow the Constitution or the standing orders of Parliament. My attention has been drawn to the record, page 10 of the votes and proceedings of Friday, 26 November 2021. It shows that the confirmed numbers of the members of Parliament at the time the question was put were less than half of all the members of Parliament. Clearly, the record shows that 137 members were present. That number is less than 50% of all members of Parliament. As stated already, Article 104(1) and our Standing Order 1091 regulate the process of decision-making in the House. The combined effect of these provisions and the standing orders are that the question shall not be put. The question shall not be put on any matter for a decision to be made unless at least half of all the members are present in the chamber. The Honourable Speaker presiding at the time the question was put appeared not to have adverted his mind to this constitutional and procedural requirements. I'm certain in my mind that given his very wide experience and expertise in Parliament, he would not have fallen into this error if his attention had been drawn to this constitutional requirement. The consequence, though, of the unfortunate error is that the putting of the question of the budget statement and the question on the budget statement and the economic policy was done in violation of Article 104(1) of the 1992 Constitution, and therefore void and inconsequential, as the record shows 137 members were in the chamber. Subsequently, the vote and declaration that the budget statement was rejected are also hereby declared to be of no effect. Now that we have the numbers, sufficient numbers to take a decision in the chamber, I'll put the question again. But before that, I'll offer the opportunity to the finance minister, if he so wish, to make his concluding remarks. If he so wish to make his concluding remarks, as is the practice. Does the finance minister wish to make the concluding remarks?
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I thank you for this opportunity. I came to the House to present the 2022 Ajinka budget in November 2017. There has been spirited debate, Mr. Speaker, since the presentation of that budget. The Ghanaian public at large, the minority side, including organizations such as FBOs, unions, employers, NUCs, GUTA, AGI, CSOs, etc. I therefore came to this House on Friday, November 26th, with a prayer to speak to the extended leadership of both the majority and minority to enable us discuss these issues. Mr. Speaker, I had humbly reminded the House as to how in the last 5 years there has been a consensus in passing the budget so that we move forward in a unified manner. Unfortunately, this very Ghanaian process was resoundingly rejected last Friday. We as a country must continue to move in unity in these very difficult times. We now move forward, and I'd like to assure the minority that in committee I'll look to address their concerns as enumerated in their open letter to the public. Mr. Speaker, there was an issue about acre energy, which we agreed in our statement, Mr. Speaker, that we will correct the language appropriately during committee meetings, and that we commit to do. Mr. Speaker, there was another request which had to do with Ejapa, and we agreed that consultations had not finished. AG is still working on that, and any such issue would also be brought to Parliament. Mr. Speaker, in fact, the estimates do not include any revenue from that transaction. Mr. Speaker, the minority was also worried about the issue of Brikusu and the coastline. We have 540 kilometers of coastline, and from Aflao to Pram about 149 kilometers. Mr. Speaker, we commit to look at this problem for the coastline in the coming weeks to ensure that we have resources for the design study and ensure that all on the coastline are taken care of on a policy basis. Mr. Speaker, they introduced the issue of benchmarks value in their new submission. Mr. Speaker, we have been very clear that the issue of enhancing manufacturing in Ghana is important, and we are committed, Mr. Speaker, to ensuring that all those traders also become part of the manufacturing enterprise that we want. As you know, already the issue of car assemblies are being done, and half of those 41 items that were included include cars. Mr. Speaker, the big issue in the House is the elephant in the room, which is the e-levy. Mr. Speaker, the e-levy enables us to tackle the three issues of debt sustainability, of infrastructure, and most importantly, of our employment issues. We have 11 million people, youth, and we have in this budget introduced the largest ever youth program of 10 billion Ghana cedis to ensure that the entrepreneurial nation that we seek will be achieved, and the issue of indecency of jobs and dignity of our youth working will be a thing of the past, as we speak a common language to move on. But Mr. Speaker, the issue of living standards is a problem that concerns us more than any other person. And we have therefore considered the issue of the 1.75% e-levy, in which, Mr. Speaker, we are in discussions with the telcos to scale back to moderate their impact, so that in the end, the impact on the citizenry would be manageable. But we cannot, Mr. Speaker, dissolve our resolve to get the type of resources we need to turn the corner. As you can see in this budget, the concern for the living conditions of our people is evident. We eliminated the toll booths, we increased the level of taxation from 200 to 500,000 so that fewer people would be taxed. We reduced the tax for small-scale miners from 3% to 1.5%. We extended the VAT flat rate, and Mr. Speaker, we introduced a 10 billion program to ensure that our youth have jobs. Mr. Speaker, this is a concerned government, and we intend to continue to go there. But Mr. Speaker, this requires burden sharing and sacrifices from all of us as a nation to cross to the Ghana beyond aid that we all look for. Mr. Speaker, as they say in Twi, a kwang incheng adiyefe, bayede sika ena eto anase beye. Mr. Speaker, at this juncture, we have some 8%, 2.4 million of our people bearing the burden, or in a sense, carrying the palanquin for 30 million people in our nation, with a poor reflection of 14% revenue to GDP ratio. This is a poor reflection of the country, and this must also change. We must all, at this time, bear the burden together. Mr. Speaker, we have nothing to fear but to move forward in a united way. Let us challenge ourselves for the triumph of higher achievement, and let's re-establish the Black Star of Africa for a Ghana beyond aid. Mr. Speaker, I would like to assure the minority that in committee, all of these issues will be addressed, and we will have established a budget that will build an entrepreneurial nation, resolve our unemployment problems, resolve our debt problems, and ensure that the roads that we all require will be built. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, before we proceed, I have just received communication from the Presidency. Mr. Speaker, absent from Ghana, in accordance with Article 59 of the Constitution, I write to inform you that I'll be traveling outside the country in the afternoon of Tuesday, 30th November 2021, to Atlanta, Georgia, United States of America, to attend the 45th Annual Legislative Conference of the National Black Caucus of State Legislators at the invitation of Honorable Representative Billy Mitchell, President of the Association, to be held from 30th to 3rd December 2021 in Atlanta, USA, where the U.S. Vice President, Her Excellency Kamala Harris, and I will be the guest speakers. I will return to Ghana in the evening of Thursday, 2nd December 2021. During my absence, the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, shall, in accordance with Article 68 of the Constitution, act in my stead. Yours sincerely, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It's addressed to the Right Honourable Speaker, Office of Parliament, Parliament House, Accra. Honourable members. Honourable members, we move to the order paper addendum. Motion. Honourable members, the motion that was moved by the Honourable Minister and have been debated is now ready for a decision to be taken. We have already determined that the appropriate numbers are in the chamber, and therefore the House stands ready to take a decision. Now I'll put the question. I'll put the question. All in favor of the House adopting the resolution moved by the Honourable Minister for Finance, say aye. Aye. All against, say no. The ayes have it. The motion moved. The House has adopted the financial. The House has accordingly approved the budget statement for the ensuing year ending 31st December 2022. Yes, Honourable members, order. Yes, Honourable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it's just for the avoidance of doubt. I'm not sure I heard you correctly or didn't hear you correctly. I'm not too sure of what I heard. Mr. Speaker, what is before us is a motion that this Honourable House approves the budget statement and economic policy of government for the year ending 31st December 2022. If my ears were not deceiving, I think I heard resolution. It's a motion. If my ears were not deceiving me, I heard you say we approve of the resolution. It's a motion.
Just for the record, I said, this House has approved the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2022, subject to the concessions given by the Finance Minister a couple of minutes ago. That was consequent upon the motion moved by the Finance Minister earlier in the month. Honourable members, order. Order. Yes, Honourable Majority Leader, are we ready to do the motions listed?
Mr. Speaker, respectfully, we have been engaging with the purpose to carry this House and indeed the entire nation along since early morning, 8 o'clock today. And I believe we've got into the time reading a quarter after 5. Mr. Speaker, I believe we've done enough for the day. And I would pray that we adjourn the House in order for us to have some good rest until tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. Speaker, so submit.
Any seconder of the motion? He has moved the motion for adjournment. I want a secondment.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Yeah. Honourable members, the motion for adjournment has been moved and seconded. All in favour of the House adjourning proceedings now say aye. All against say no. Ayes have it. The House is accordingly adjourned to tomorrow, Wednesday, the 1st of December at 10 o'clock in the phone room.
Thank you, Lord.